Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Brad Wilson from Radcliffe Cardiology, and it is my pleasure today to be joined by somebody who I'm sure nearly all of you know, Dr. Devi Nair, who's the course director of our Rhythm Interventions online meeting.
Thanks, Brad. It's great to be here.
Devi, I think the reason why we, wanted to organize this discussion was we launched the Rhythm Interventions online meeting several years ago, and I don't think any of us could ever have predicted it would grow to what it has been today, although I had high hopes and thought it was always going to go to the moon and beyond. It's evolved so much, and we started this as a virtual meeting, and it's now become the largest global platform for the arrhythmia community, and we bring together thousands of physicians, multiple technologies, and true global perspectives. And it's been quite a journey so far. So I guess, Debbie, you joined it at the start. You've been with us for the 6 years. This year will actually be the 7th edition of the event. What made you say yes when we first approached you all of those years ago?
Well, Brad, what really drew me in the beginning was the vision, right? I still remember those early conversations. We were asking ourselves, do we really need another meeting? I mean, listen, we're sitting here at a meeting, and we had so many meetings, right? And very quickly, the answer became no. We needed something different, right? And even at that stage, it was clear that Rio wasn't meant to be just another meeting. It was designed to be something more dynamic, more global, and more inclusive of what I would say different perspectives of electrophysiology, right? And so at that time, we were also seeing a real need for a platform that brought together not just data, but practical experience, how people are actually doing procedures, how technologies are being used in real-world settings. Because at the end of the day, we don't learn from perfection. We learn from experience, right? So that's why I said no. And Rio offered that opportunity. It felt innovative, collaborative, and something that could truly grow with the field. Rio, to me, wasn't built to broadcast information. It was built to share insight. And for me, that's what made it easy to say yes.
Thanks, Debbie. And over this time, over this journey so far, there's been huge evolution. I mean, there's been huge evolution in the past 6 months and 12 months. So over that time, if you cast your mind back, how have the topics evolved over these past 5 to 6 years within the event? And, from your perspective as well, not just the topics, but the technology, the workflows. Could you give us some insights on that?
Yeah, the evolution has been remarkable, right? And you really feel it when you look back. The good thing is you can look back because it's on demand. And, I will sometimes go back and look at some of our early sessions. Early on, we were focused so much on foundational topics like AF ablation strategies and mapping technologies, and we brought in emerging tools. We were asking, does this technology work? That was, those were our early sessions. Now the conversation has shifted. I think now the field didn't just evolve, the questions just got smarter. We're talking about pulse field ablation, how to integrate it into workflows, advanced mapping strategies and substrate modification. How is that tied to PFA? How is advancements in device therapy being utilized, and how are operators building that into their practice? How is stroke prevention being used in the global setting? How is patient selection and long-term outcomes being evaluated and monitored? And how technologies compare and complement each other, right? It's no longer about the tool, it's about the strategy. And what I think is most important in this meeting is that it has shifted from what is this technology to how do we use it optimally? Because to me, the most valuable learning doesn't happen in the slides. It happens in the discussion. And that's what we're good at. We always have a great panel. We have incredible faculty And that's what makes it meaningful to the practicing physicians in my mind. So here you go.
I couldn't agree more. And to touch on a couple of your points now, I think one of the things that does differentiate RIO or rhythm interventions online, however you know it, is that we bring this wide range of technologies and approaches and we put them all in one place. And as you say, you can go back on our platform and you can see all of this technology in 2020, 2021, 2022, all the way through till today. And it's not just one therapy or one company's technology. You know, we try and be inclusive and give the full view of what the modern EP lab is like. And what we've seen then over the years is, as these new technologies have expanded, the meetings had to expand with it as well. And we started off at a 3-day event, and most recently extended to a 4-day event. And for 2026, we're actually having to continue with a 4-day event, but we're having to split it into a US focus in November and a global, more EMEA-focused event in October as well. So there's also on the horizon maybe further expansion, but we'll leave that for another discussion. But I think then to give everybody a bit of an idea as to why the split's important is it allows us to be more focused. It allows us to tailor the content to the respective geographies. We now see technologies becoming available at different timings.
No kidding.
So that's another thing as well. But also being relevant to the regional nuances that are out there and just making this discussion more practical.
Yeah, I mean, it's so different around the globe, right? How technologies get adapted in different parts of the world, and how physicians integrate it. There is a different cadence in the whole world. And I truly believe that over the last 6 years, we've done an incredible job trying to keep a pace alongside innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. One of the things then I wanted to ask you a little bit about is such an important part of this meeting and why it's where it is today is the faculty, the core faculty that we've had from the start, the leadership that have been throughout and a constant. We brought on some new names as well. But we also think that the broader faculty of panelists, operators, I think last year we were north of 70, so it's grown significantly. But something that you're probably a little bit more aware of than I am is with that faculty, what's the feedback been like from them?
You know, I would say the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. And honestly, that's been one of the most rewarding parts for me as a course director. People don't just say, this was a great session. They say, I'm going to do something different tomorrow. And that is huge. I mean, to me as a practicing EP, to be able to influence another physician's practice, or to have a core faculty that's able to influence how a physician that is miles away from us change their dynamics of their workflow because of the discussion we led, that's incredible. And, you know, they'll say, and to me, that's the kind of thing that makes the real impact, right? And they'll say, this is how I did things today, but I see the real value of what you just showed, and I want to implement this. Now, faculty really value the open and balanced discussions. I'll tell you that. And this isn't a meeting where people just present data. We don't have a whole bunch of slides. It's very interactive, right? And we're very honest about our emotions, our feelings, how we feel about the therapy and how we do things, and what is clinically relevant. And this is one of the few forums where it is okay to say, okay, this works, but this doesn't work, or this is not how it should be used, or this is not really working out for us. And there's also a very strong appreciation for the global perspective, which I think is been the key from day one for us, right? Hearing how different physicians approach the same problem across regions. And that might be because of the access to care. It might be because of access to technology. It might be because of the patient characteristics, but it's different. And because what I think medicine moves forward when we're willing to share the full story. And I think we as a group, we as the Rio family, I truly believe, and our faculty have done a phenomenal job of sharing the full story of the technology. And ultimately, people walk away with practical takeaways. They can apply those takeaways immediately or when it matters most to them. So I think that's, to me, I love reading all the feedback, and we get incredible amount of feedback. It's a day, 2 days worth of reading, and I love reading them because a lot of it is very personal.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I see some of the feedback I see, and it does make you think, we're not just running a meeting here. You know, we are having an impact on the community, and it's great to see that feedback coming from physicians at all different levels, different stages of their career. But also we get feedback that comes not just from people watching the live event, but watching the content on demand.
Yeah.
And we've had faculty who've seen the content on demand, then actually wanted to be a part of the event as well, because they've seen it on social media or they've come across the cases, and it's fantastic to see that.
You know, I cannot underscore the importance of, I mean, we have a great faculty, we have a great set of core team that actually takes care of it, but we also have an incredible administrative team like you guys that help us do this. And, you know, I mean, when I come back and look at Rio On Demand, I mean, I don't think people understand the amount of effort that goes into making this happen. And so kudos to you guys and your team for helping us put this together. So I think a lot of feedback actually talks about how seamless it is too for the audience. And it's easy, it's free, it's virtual, and they sit at home and they get to see what happens in the world.
Exactly. And that's a big point. It's free to access. It's open access. So after the event, anybody can go and watch. So we try and make it as easy and accessible as possible. And one of the next points then is, we look at that thing of, well, why should physicians attend? You've touched on a lot of points already, but for those who maybe haven't joined us before, why should they attend? But also, I think what's interesting is that this meeting is relevant for physicians at all points in their journey. So I'd like to also ask you, why should they attend? And physicians who are at your stage in their career, but also if you cast your mind back a number of years ago, why would it have been relevant for you then as well?
Well, you know, I often say when I bring up the meeting at other meetings, I often say, this is a meeting I want to attend myself. I don't miss a minute of the 4 days, because it answers the questions we actually face in real life, in our real practice. And not just what the data says, but what I do on Monday morning, what I would do when I get into trouble. I put it this way, there are 3 main reasons, is how I always say. First thing is how comprehensive it is. You get exposure to the full spectrum of technologies and strategies in one place. I mean, I don't think there is a meeting you can get that. Second is the practical insight that we bring in with our faculty. These are real world discussions from very experienced operators that are focused on what works and what doesn't. And that's key. They have had their hands on it. There is no reason for people to have to reinvent that wheel, because these are people that have put their heart into making things optimal. So why don't we learn from them? We're not just, they're not just sharing their data. They're looking at everyone's data, and they're trying to incorporate all that and bring that into what we call shared decision-making within EPs, but also for our patients, right? And third is the community that we have built. Rio, to me, is truly a global network. You're not just watching a conversation, you're part of it. Like, our audience is constantly on the Q&A. They are asking the relevant questions, and we are answering those questions real time. And that is what makes it different. So why would you not be part of it? I mean, I see no reason why somebody shouldn't log in October and November to see Rio this year.
I couldn't agree more. So anybody out there that's not logging in and registering, register, watch. In terms of the future, I think we've got we've come on this journey so far, and we said at the start we didn't think we'd ever get to where we are. So I can't imagine where we're going to be in maybe 5 years' time with this event. But looking ahead, what do you see from rhythm interventions? Where do you see us? Where do you see us going?
Well, I'm an eternal optimist, but I still think the future of Rio is incredibly exciting. We are moving toward being not just a meeting, but a continuous educational platform, one that evolves alongside the field. And I can't even tell you how fast this field is evolving. So I think to me, the last 6 years, we have proven that we have been able to keep up with that pace. And we don't plan to stop for a second. And we plan to keep that pace and keep evolving alongside the incredible field that we are in. Our goal is very simple, is to stay as dynamic as possible as the field that we represent. And it is the beautiful field of electrophysiology for me. The expansion into US and global meetings is a big step for us, right? So we saw the last 2 years what that has done for us, and I think it has definitely changed the dynamic for us for the meeting. And because while practice is local, learning to me should always be global. And looking ahead, I see Rio continuing to integrate new technologies as they come, because that's going to happen in EPA. Focus more on patient outcomes and long-term data, because that is what the core of what we do is, and it matters to all of us. We want to expand our digital and on-demand education platforms. We want to strengthen our collaboration across regions, and hence bringing that global and US, but also we're talking about Asia Pacific, Latin America. So maybe truly making it fully global. And at the end of the day, it's about translating that innovation into better patient care. And if we can help physicians make better decisions for their patients, then we're doing exactly what we set out to do in the first place.
Fantastic. And to wrap this up, Devi, I think, first of all, I want to say thank you to you. I think thank you to you for a number of reasons. I think you've been instrumental in helping us drive this vision forward. But I think I also want to say thank you to the other course directors, Richard Schilling. Professor Schilling, he started
I call him
it
the
off.
father of Rio. He is. He brought this great vision to me, and I still remember that conversation at HRS when he asked me, "Do you want to join me in Rio?" And for a second, I looked at him and I said, "Absolutely." And so I couldn't have done it without the co-coach directors.
Is that because you thought we were doing a conference from Rio at the time?
No. Richard is very clear when he talks. But no, we have wonderful co-coach directors, right? And our faculty and you guys, and this is a family within not just the faculty, but the whole community.
Exactly. And I think as well, to give everybody there an insight, is we're in a position now to really take this to the next level. We're here with growth plans that we maybe won't announce right now in terms of where we're going, because we still need to figure it all out. But in terms of how we've geared up from a Radcliffe side, we're really investing in this event and allowing it to grow to where we think it can get to. But thank you to you, thank you to all of the other faculty, and also the community, because it's that community really that's also made rhythm interventions what it is today. So I appreciate the time, Devi.
Thank you, Brad. And thank you again to everyone, and hope to see you in October and November for this year's Rio.